just recording. As others are joining, for most of you here, PK needs no introduction. PK is a member of community and a professional coach, a full-time coach. PK's background is, meanwhile, I'll share his LinkedIn so that you know. PK, his background is chartered accountancy, then was in the corporate role, has worked with some big brands, including Tata's, was overseas, then came back to become a consultant / entrepreneur. Then he was, parallelly, he took on the journey to become a coach. He was in ACC when we met, actually, a chance meeting, a chance drive. PK keeps referring to, and we have been close friends since then. So PK for me is first a friend, then a fellow coach, then my sounding board. Many of you would have heard from me, PK, more as my sounding board, and to discuss a lot of things that I would like to. We all are familiar, most of us here. I can see some guests here. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. We all are familiar with Regal at 60 and variants thereof. And it is aspirational for every leader, every coach to lead that life of utmost balance, that golden triangle that I keep referring to. PK is one of the very few people that I know who truly embodies that. And this comes without any extra, any extra spice. He truly lives there. Somebody who takes regular breaks, somebody, has a very thriving practice, who works out of a co-working space, a premium co-working space. I know his family, so I know how a committed father he is to both his daughters. So, somebody who brings them all together. Yeah, and this touring with PK was a Facebook page when I met PK. I've seen that evolution of that Facebook page into something as fantastic as a web page. And a lot of man-hours have gone into that. I'm just giving a helicopter view because I want PK. I have touring with PK website open. Of course, I have not opened Facebook page. I want PK to share what is relevant in this conversation. Anyway, he'll anyway share. Somebody who has traveled extensively, has captured those moments, and created this Facebook page, which has been converted now, or I think it's still in the process of conversion into a, with a heavy content, heavy web page. A lot of work has gone in. I mean, you'll see that when you explore the Facebook page or this. Another, a trivia, something that PK had shared with me earlier. This story with Facebook page had a series on Hampi, which is the topic for today. It had more than 1.5 million views. 1.5 million views. One particular post on water management had more than 1.5 lakh views. Yeah, from 50 countries. And those posts translated to over 45 languages. So Hampi did generate phenomenal interest for sure. And there could be a lot of things that we would be hearing, unless there are some committed students of history here. A lot of things I have heard from PK about Hampi and elsewhere. By the way, I hope to make my maiden trip to Hampi, me and my wife, next month, after we complete a lot of our work in June, July. So over to you, PK. Anything you want to add, both as an introduction as well as your journey to touring with PK? Anything that would be relevant to the group? Yeah. And thanks for accepting to do a session, something like this. A chartered accountant, consultant coach, a CEO coach who's going to handle a session like this. Thank you for that. Yeah. And welcome everyone who has chosen to be here this evening. It's always a pleasure to meet community members like this. Yeah. Over to you, PK.
My pleasure, Subhash. Am I audible? So it's a great pleasure to speak about Hampi. I think I feel blessed to have this opportunity. The reason is Hampi is not a location, it's not a place, it is a living legend. And it's a living museum, and it has history since Ramayana times. It is the same Kishkinda as we see in Ramayana. So thousands, millennia of history sleeping there, living there, and for us to, see and experience. Hampi needs to be experienced. You can see it, you can hear about it, but experiencing Hampi is something totally different. And since we have a few things to cover today, and I have taken the responsibility to walk you through the Hampi in as much as possible detail as possible, and some 1,600 monuments in Hampi over a 40 square kilometer area, I think we will move to that. And at the end, we will have some 10-15 minutes for question answers. And probably I will just tell you a little more about, if time permits, about the website, which you can, otherwise you can go and figure out yourself, touringwithpk.com. So just to get the geography right, Hampi is around 340 kilometers north of Nama Bengaluru and 370 kilometers from Hyderabad and around 700 kilometers from Mumbai, southeast of Mumbai. And Hampi, referred to as Kishkinda, as we said earlier, thousands and millennia of history behind it. But most of the remains, current day ruins, are from Vijayanagara times, which was around 500 years ago, 1336 to 1565. 230 years was, the Suvarna Kala or golden time of Hampi. In particular, 1509 to 1529, during Krishnadevaraya's regime. Krishnadevaraya, he was one of the most effective, prominent kings of India. Yeah, and during his time, it found expression all over art, architecture, and Krishnadevaraya had at those days, Vijayanagara was very, very far flung up to north Vindhyas, beyond the Vindhyas, and up to, on the east, up to Bengal, and south, of course, the whole of south. And the Goa port and Karwar port were very, very operational those days. And Portuguese used to trade a lot of things through Hormuz in Iran. And from Iran, Hormuz port to Goa port and Karwar port, and also to Bhatkal, which was another very important port those days. And at this point in time, Hampi was most prosperous and considered to be the largest city in the world. Many travelers have chronicled Hampi, European, Chinese, Persian. Hampi had dedicated trading markets. Today, we can see 4 markets, dedicated markets, ruins of 4 markets for diamonds, pearls, silver, silks, brocades, and Hampi had opulent palaces, marvelous temples, splendid royal quarters, embassies for foreign emissaries, ambassadors, massive fortifications, a number of gates, absolutely indefensible, and large and small pools, baths, comprehensive water management systems, channels, aqueducts, pavilions, arenas, tables, pillared halls, mandabas, memorial structures, whatever you will see in a city, all that was there in Hampi, and we can see the footprint of all of that today. Yeah, and quite an advanced generation of people used to live here 500, 600 years ago, in art, in architecture, construction, in science and technology, spirituality, agriculture, animal training. And today, Hampi, therefore, is a living museum. We will take a walkthrough with the help of hundreds of images. From some 5,000 plus images, I have shortlisted around 500 for today. And Vijayanagara, a bit of history. Vijayanagara was established by Harihara and Bukkaraya in the year 1336. They were the vassals of Hoysala kingdom before that, and they established Hampi in a place called Anegundi, which is the northern side of Tungabhadra river. And continuous reign after 1336 by the dynasties in Vijayanagara, and the capital remained the same, Hampi, for the entire 230. This is another very important part of Vijayanagara. They never changed the capital in their 230 years of reign. And it ended with the Talikota War, which is around 180 kilometers north of Hampi, and somewhere near, Alamati reservoir of today. That is where Talikota War happened in January 1565, and Hampi fell. 4 allied Muslim sultans of Bijapur, Bidar, Ahmednagar, and Golconda. They came as a combined force, and probably the indefeatable army was defeated. And that followed with 6 months of pillage, plunder, loot, destruction, arson that no city in the world has ever witnessed. And that led to a lot of destruction, and still what is left is incredible. After the 6 months of such brutal destruction, what is left after 500 years, still it is spectacular, stunning, simply mind-blowing, So when we are able to share that in an audience like this today, it is an amazing opportunity for all of us to live those moments through the images for now. And I'm happy to hear that Subhash is planning a visit to Hampi. So any of you, if you want to go to Hampi, and feel free to call me, and probably I can be of help to whatever extent I would be happy. Now, coming to art and architecture was so advanced and refined in Vijayanagara times, thanks to the fact that Vijayanagara happened after Cholas, after Chalukyas, Rashtrakutas, Kakatiyas, Hoysalas, Pallavas, Cholas, Pandyas. These were all, amazing times for art, architecture, and the temples and the palaces that we see today, even after 800,000 years, including the big temple of Tanjavur. So Vijayanagara artists could learn from all of this, and they created a Vijayanagara style that is visible across all South Indian temples, because Krishnadevaraya more or less renovated almost all prominent temples in the south, including Sri Shailam, Srirangam, Madurai, and I mean many places, Chidambaram, Tiruvannamalai, Tirupati. All of these temples were renovated during Krishnadevaraya's time, that is 1509 to 1529. And the structural aspects, the refined sculpturing in hard granite. See, the Hoysalas and Kakatiyas worked more on black basalt and soapstone, which was easy to sculpture. Easy to sculpture meaning relative to hard granite. With otherwise they are also stones. I mean, and we know what it takes to sculpture or carve in a stone. So intricate carvings, magnanimous sizes, amazing, diverse themes, and the sophistication is and followed by meticulous workmanship. These are just astounding facts about Hampi. And before we get into the images and more into Hampi, a lot of us may think, why temples? Why between 300 BC, right from Mauryan times, up to 1600, that is Vijayanagara times, across India, wonderful temples were built. Why? Why kings were, or those days administrators were investing so heavily in temples? In today's context, we need to see it in a different way. So primarily an energy source, a spiritual energy center, that we all understand. But the temples, those days, imagine 1,000 years back, 1,500 years back, even 500 years back, temples acted as a place for education, equivalent to current day schools. It was a place for discussions, debates, current day halls and auditoriums, right? And for conducting social functions like marriages and family functions, and all the family functions and the local community. Current day, we either hire a hall or a hotel party hall and things like that. Those days there were no hotels for sure. And for providing specific services, during the times of calamities and disasters, temples multiplied as a medical service center for storage of food and supplies for the community, local communities, until the calamities are taken care of, and current day relief centers and dispensaries and hospitals that we have. Yeah. And it was a secured place to keep the valuables of the local community, because when the organized looters came and the robbers came and the dacoits came, this was a place where they kept all their belongings and the valuables, equivalent to current day lockers and the banks that we have. And also it acted as a local bank. I mean, the temples were the local financier for the traders and farmers. They lend money for interest, they got back the interest with capital, redeployed it. So it was working as a bank. And of course, the art shows, cultural shows, dances, concerts, it was all happening in the Ranga Mandapa of the temple. There were no halls or auditoriums like what we have today. So the temples in particular was a place where the exhibitions, the fairs, the festivals happened, the melas happened, and it acted around, the largest, the outside prakara acted as the ground for melas and festivals and things like that. And also it was a place where overnight travelers were resting. Those days there were no hotels. So they used to take refuge in a temple and stay for a day overnight and resume their journeys. So in cases even as bazaars, and even today, if you go to Srirangam temple or Madurai temples, there are bazaars inside the temple, and it acted as a mall or a shopping complex of equivalent. So the temples of varied sizes were created in every village and habitat, indeed as a common facility and infrastructure for use by ordinary people for the welfare of local community. Yeah. So what also happened over time was that it turned out to be an avenue for expression of art, culture, architecture prowess of those times. And that's what is left over for us to see today and appreciate what kind of people lived before us in this land. We need to see, understand, and appreciate our magnificent temples and heritage structures in this light. Yeah. With this, shall we go to Hampi? Yeah. So I'm trying to share the screen. You need to give me some signal that you are able to see my screen. Okay. So we will start with, what we will do is that here the walkthrough with Hampi starts. And we are starting with Achyutaraya temple. Achyutaraya was the brother of Krishnadevaraya, and he ruled from 1529 to 1542. And during those times, this temple was constructed. Of course, as you see, it is destroyed during part of Talikota War and what happened after 6 months. So this is the Achyutaraya temple and the Achyutaraya bazaar in front that you see here. Are you seeing the shift in? No. So there is some issue. I have to give me some time. I'll try to share the screen now. Are you able to see? Is it moving?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is an adjacent hill called Matanka Hill in Hampi, next to Achyutaraya temple. So this is a shot from the top of Matanga Hill, and Matanga Hill we will come separately. So this is the temple with 2 prakarams, and what is left we are here to see. I would just keep going. And this is Achyutaraya Bazaar, one of the 4 bazaars that exist today. And we don't know how many more existed. Still excavations are happening and new discoveries are happening. One whole bazaar, Krishna Bazaar, was discovered in late 80s, as recent as late 80s. So we don't know still what Hampi holds for us, but this is one of the 4 prominent bazaars, and this must be almost 600 meters long and almost 100 feet wide. And this is another shot of the Achyutaraya Bazaar and the temple. This is a shot from the top of Madanga Hill. And this is facing absolute north. This temple is facing absolute north as per our magnetic field today. This is a shot on the ground, Achyutaraya temple, what is left. So this is the inner prakara, and the mandapams are by and large intact. And this is a shot from the Achyutaraya Bazaar. You can see the Gopura, front Gopura, Achyutaraya Bazaar. There are a lot of small mandapas and resting places and things like that. I keep going a bit fast so that we have some time to discuss at the end. And every large bazaar has a pushkarini, and the pushkarini is acted as a local water source, as well as to preserve the groundwater. And what you see here, can you see my mouse? Okay, yeah, can you see the mouse?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So this is Tungabhadra River, and this is the right side or right bank of Tungabhadra, and this is the Pushkarani. And something has happened. It has stopped moving. I need to stop sharing, I think. Again, start sharing. Yeah, can you see?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the Pushkarani at the Chidaraya temple. Pushkarani means the temple tank. It's a large one, stepped, inside, and even today it is absolutely intact. And these are some of the shots of the Pushkarani, one beautiful Pushkarani, glorious one in Chidaraya Bazaar. And look at that, and look at the kind of finesse or the kind of finish that is done 500 years ago. This is the Ananta Shaina temple. This was constructed during the reign of Krishnadevaraya, but archaeologists say that there was no pratishtha here ever done, and the Garbhagriha remained vacant. We will see the Garbhagriha. Since there was no pratishtha, we could go in. In one of our visits, we have done Hampi many times, but only once we were fortunate to get access to inside of this Garbhagriha. We will see that. Now, another feature of the Vijayanagara style is that the Mahabandavas are all around 15 feet tall. A person standing here is it is therefore very cool, and you will see a lot of room. The 12 to 15 feet high mandapams, and this is around 70 plus 30, maybe 100 feet high temple. This is inside Garbhagriha. Since there was no pratishtha here ever done, we got access. In one of the visits, the person in charge of that was, kind enough to let us in. And this is how it looks inside the Garbhagriha. This is the top ceiling, and a lot of pigeons are now made it as their refuge. And this is, Vijayanagara kings adopted a method of boulders, that is the hard granite stones plus bricks plus stucco, a kind of plaster. So all their constructions were using these three materials by and large, these three materials, that is hard granite, very hard granite, and then bricks, that is normal soil clay bricks, and then stucco, which is a plaster that bound all of this together. And here a lot of stucco usage, and this is a step well in the Ananta Shaina temple complex. And look at the sculptures and carvings in the stucco at the top. These are all absolutely intact even after 500 years. 500 years, we need to keep that in perspective. And these are all the mandapams, all intact. And this is a person standing there. He must be 5.5 feet. So that is how it looks when somebody stands in a mandapam. And the Yali, the famous Yali of Vijayanagara times. This is Bukka aqueduct. So Bukka time, 14th century, they constructed an aqueduct to carry water from Sanapur Lake across Tungabhadra River to Hampi for the water source. This is amazing. This must be some 30 feet tall, massive structure. Remnants are there even today. The aqueduct which used to carry water from Sanapur Lake through gravity. Yeah, the technology used was gravity. So water just flew from a higher plane to a lower plane. And this one can go to the other side of Tungabhadra and see all these things, massive boulders. This is what I talked about, science and technology. They had a really good technology to lift these heavy boulders and members into that height and place it in proper location. And you can see how it stands even after almost 700 years. This was done in 14th century, middle of 14th century. This is one of the large gates of fortification. The fortified city, the walled city had many gates. That was the reason why Hampi was in a way indefeatable in its defenses. So one of the gates called Bhima Gate, it doesn't have any relation with the Mahabharata Bhima. It is just called Bhima because of the force that was required to penetrate this, if at all someone is able to. So this Bhima Gate is intact. Parts of it is intact, but mostly destroyed. And look at these each stones. They are massive, and it is kept one on top of the other, and they are still standing 500 years down the line. So this is Bhima Gate. We will see some more gates, very difficult to penetrate. And this is a 12 feet high Badavi Linga. This was the folklore is that this was established by a lady of a local village, Badavi Linga. We don't know the truth anyway. This is a 12 feet linga, and always there is Tungabhadra river water at the foot of the linga. And it is a channel that is working for 500 plus years underground. Nobody has ventured to see actually how it comes, but it is always, there is a circulating water beneath. And this is the place where it is. Inside this is that Badavi linga. And this is Chandrasekhara temple. No rituals currently. Most of the temples except Virupaksha temple and a few others, there is no rituals or puja today because it was all destroyed. And the idols were destroyed. You know, it was absolutely desecrated in the 6 months that followed 1565 war. Therefore, these temples all remain without any rituals for all this while, and archaeological survey is maintaining it so we can gain access inside. During those times when we went here, that was not open. But there was a side opening for us to get in and take the beautiful architecture of this particular temple. These are all typical Vijayanagara style temple. You will see this a lot in Tamil Nadu. It is not Chola style per se. It is Vijayanagara kings who renovated Chola time temples into this. So you will see stucco, bricks, and the stones in all of Vijayanagara temples. And this is Vijayanagara style of, you could see the workmanship of, how it is even today. And this is, Chakratirtha. And these mandapas are for pilgrims and travelers to rest during those days. Today also, they are in good shape. And this is from Chakratirtha, Tungabhadra river bank. You can see Virupaksha temple, Gopuram at a distance here. Yeah. And this is Chakratirtha view of Anjanadri. This Anjanadri we will see in many, many photos. It is on the other side of Tungabhadra where Hanuman is supposed to have born. And Anjanadri, even today, we can go up and see the Hanuman temple. We will see that later. But it is very, very important view from this side of Hampi to look at. Anjanadri on the other side. So this is Tungabhadra flows in between. And this is Darbar Hall. This is the main Darbar Hall of what was used by Vijayanagara kings, in particular Krishnadevaraya. This was a 2-storied building. And what you see here, these are all the bases of wooden pillars once it stood here, and 64 pillars in this particular Darbar Hall, which was made of sandalwood. And it was all burnt down. And the ashes they found here while restoring, that indicated that these were burnt down and the structures were wooden. And this is amazing. This Darbar Hall is an amazing place. If you go and stand there, you will be lost. We have gone there many times. The experience has been the same. You will not be the same. You cannot. You will be taken to another plane of yourself when you go and stand here in the royal enclosure of Hampi. It's a 60,000 square meter or maybe 700,000 square feet of royal enclosures of royal palaces and places where they stayed and they met and they conducted their vast empire. And this place is amazing. And this is one of the key areas in the royal enclosures, that is Darbar Hall. And this is the steps to go to the first floor where, the ground floor where the kings used to hear the people. Darbar is a new usage. At that time, it was just that king's audience hall. And this is all that. And here you will see Hazar Rama temple. We will come to that. Here you can see a little bit of stucco, that is Hazar Rama temple. And this is again, Darbar Hall. And this is the eating place where people used to eat. And the people used to serve by walking in between. They used to walk. The servers used to walk in between and serve on both sides. And these are all intact even today. And this is a Pushkarani very near to the eating place, near to the royal enclosure. This was discovered just a few years back, maybe 6 to 8 years back. And when we went last time, this was still being excavated. You can see the, the soil being collected, etc. This Pushkarani is a new found Pushkarani. It is just getting unearthed. There are so many things still in Hampi, I think, yet to be unearthed. And this is the elephant stable where the procession elephants used to stand and taken care of. These are all massive. You can see people here, so you can imagine what is the size of each of these places. The mahouts used to stay there, and these were all royal elephants which used to take out for, they used to take out for processions and things like that. This is a Ganagati Jain temple. This is one of the Jain temples in the vicinity. Good shape. It is constructed around 1350, so around 700 years. And this is Gejjala Mandapa. This is at the other end of Vittalaraya Bazaar. We will come to Vittalaraya temple later. But this Gejjala Mandapa is an amazing thing by itself. The kind of, the carvings and the sculpturing inside the small Gejjala Mandapa as it looks is amazing. One shouldn't miss this if you happen to go to Hampi. And then we come to this sculpturing is amazing. And this, mind you, is in a very hard rock. Getting clarity in this hard rock takes its own skill as well as some technology that they had, which probably we don't have today. And this is Hampi Bazaar. It is a 2-floor and some places 3-storied pavilions, an entire 1.2 kilometer Hampi Bazaar. At one end, the Virupaksha temple. At the western end of the Hampi Bazaar is Virupaksha temple, 160 feet tall Gopuram constructed during the time of Krishnadevaraya. So this Hampi Bazaar is one of the main bazaars of Hampi, where people from across the globe used to come and trade. And here the width, you could look at the width of this street. It must be around 150 feet. And today we are putting 10 feet, 12 feet road where we are staying in our cities. So this is more than 150 feet wide street and 550, 600, 700 years ago. And it is absolutely intact, certain mandapams, in spite of the destruction that was carried out in 1565. And this is the eastern end of Hampi Bazaar, where you cut across this small hillock and go to Achyutaraya temple, and go to the right and go to Matanga temple, Matanga hill. So this is the view of Hampi Bazaar from top of the Matanga hill. And Matanga hill is something that we should never miss, because at the top you get a 360-degree view of the entire Hampi and its its ruins. And this is the Hampi Bazaar, seen from the top of Matanga hill. Look at that. And also the Tungabhadra river on the other side. This I must have taken during summer months, but during monsoon it is full. The river, a lot of mandapams and the riverside temples get submerged in monsoon times if you happen to go. So we may have some shots of monsoons also in this. So this is the Hampi Bazaar from the eastern end, and this is another Huvina gate. Huvina Gate is another gate like Bhima Gate. This is another one of the prominent gates of walled city of Hampi at some point in time, and huge and absolutely marvelous gates with a fortification around it. This is Krishna temple. When Krishnadevaraya defeated Gajapatis of Orissa, and in commemorating that, they constructed this Krishna temple. And Krishna temple also is pillaged, that is also destroyed, but whatever is left, he still makes us in an awe. This is Hemakuda Hill. Hemakuda Hill temples existed even prior to Hampi times. Here the temples, all Shiva temples, though it looks like Jain architecture, but these were all Shiva temples built between 9th century and 13th century, even before Hampi was established by Hakka and Bukka. So this is Hemakuda Hill top. There are a lot of temples there, around 30 temples there, dating back to 9th to 13th century. So all of them are more than 1,000 years of heritage. And these are all, here you can see how they used to cut the stones, the large boulders, inserting the wood pieces and then pouring water over it so that the wood expands and it breaks the stone. amazing ways they worked and their technology. Some of them we know, some of them we don't know. It is just lost. Many of their technologies we don't have today is what I would like to believe. If you go and see there, you will know why I believe so. And this is again Hemakuda Hill, view of Virupaksha temple. These are all beautiful Trikuta temples on top of Hemakuda Hill, which is Chalukya style. Chalukyas are 7th, 8th, 9th century. And this is again another view of Hemakuda Hills. And Hemakuda Hill top is a fantastic place to view sunsets. So if you happen to be in Hampi, don't miss a sunset from Hemakuda Hill. This is an amazing, glorious temple in Hampi, which is Hazararama temple. We saw it from the royal enclosure earlier. This Hazararama temple has thousands of friezes and reliefs, from the wall jetting out. This is one kind of architecture or sculpturing that we don't see much in other temples to this extent. And this is Hazararama temple. The whole Ramayana is displayed there. The Mahabharata sequences are displayed. And these are all reliefs. Imagine the work that is needed to remove unwanted portion from this stone so that this relief emerges, as it is seen today. There are thousands of them. Thousands of them. I am not exaggerating. It is just thousands of them. Hazararama. That is why even the word Hazararama probably came to be known as it later. And Hazararama temple is just magnificent. Nothing else to say about it. Stunning. And also inside there are black basalt, pillars, which are sculpted and carvings to the extent that it is like wood. They have carved things like wood in a black basalt stone, something similar to Hoysala time. So we need to believe that the Hoysala artisans were existing at the time of Krishnadevaraya or Vijayanagara times also. Probably we lost them after that. And today we don't have these kinds of technology. And this is again Hazararama temple reliefs and bas reliefs and motifs and jutting out of the wall. And look at the detail in this particular Torana. This is a small Torana, and you look at the detail, and this is hard granite, to get this kind of finish. And this is 500 years later. They were not definitely using, as we think, chisels and the very primitive things that we think about them. No, I don't at least think so. They had much advanced tools and ability to do things. And these are all Hazararama temples again, and this is from a distance, Hazararama temple. And this is an inscribed Vishnu temple, and the whole wall is inscribed. The entire wall is inscribed in Kannada and Tamil and Telugu, a kind of language that is a mix of all that. And the entire, that is why the whole temple is called inscribed Vishnu temple. This is on the side of Tungabhadra, on the southern side of Tungabhadra, behind Vittalaraya temple. And this is another wall. And this is how the whole temple looks. And this is the weighing balance, the balance or king's balance as it is called during the festivals. King used to weigh himself with materials and used to do, for distribute it to people with lesser privilege. And this is Kudre Mandapa, which is in the Vittalaraya temple bazaar. And this Kudre Mandapa is a place where probably they used to trade horses. And this is intact. Even today, the yalis and the horses are all meticulously carved and sculptured. It is an amazing place. And this during monsoon time, I told you that some photos may be of the monsoon time, though this is not, the height of monsoon. Maybe when monsoon was receding, we had gone once in August, September. And this is a Kodandarama temple where you see this, this temple is called Kodandarama temple. This exists right from Sugriva Ramayana times, because the idols here, full 6 feet sized Rama, Lakshmana, Sita, and Sugriva, not Hanuman. So these idols were sculpted during Sugriva's time. By Sugriva is what the lore is. Therefore, this temple here exists right from Ramayana times. And during monsoons, the height of monsoons, this temple gets submerged up to here. Yeah. And that is the that will be the kind of Tungabhadra we will see when we go in monsoon. And this, Kodandarama temple is a beautiful one, an ancient one. And this is the place where Hanuman is supposed to have met Rama. We will see a Hanuman temple, which is called the Yantrodharaka Hanuman temple, just after some time. So these things maybe Vijayanagara, kings would have renovated it, but the place remains right from the ancient Ramayana times. This is Krishna temple that we spoke about a while ago, constructed by during the time of Krishnadevaraya. Beautiful temple, Krishna temple, by and large in good shape, but there is no idol. Therefore, there is no ritual. This bazaar, Krishna bazaar, was discovered only in 80s, as recent as 80s. People didn't know such a bazaar existed. Somebody, was excavating for agriculture, and they found some bazaar kind of thing, and then archaeological survey immediately took over and unearthed the whole thing. And there is a Pushkarani here, Krishna Bazaar Pushkarani, a beautiful one. It is in front of Krishna temple. And this is Lotus Mahal. This has an air conditioning system during summer where they pour water at the tank that is at the top here, and it keeps circulating through the walls, and it keeps the place quite cool. And this is in the royal enclosure, just behind the royal enclosure. This is Lotus Mahal and all fortifications, because Queen used to, and the lady, the ladies used to live there. So a lot of fortification even today is visible. So these are all the areas surrounding that. And this, you might have seen this Narasimha, Lakshmi Narasimha, though currently it is called Ugra Narasimha because Lakshmi is missing. This was vandalized very badly, unfortunately. And even this plate here is, fitted by archaeological survey. Originally, it was not there according to archaeologists. So this is a restored Lakshmi Narasimha thing, which will be around 15 to 18 feet tall. An amazing work of art, considering the times in which it has been done, around 600 years ago. And this is where it is. This is how you enter into that Narasimha place. This is, Shiva temple, in the outskirts of Hampi. Again, very ancient, must be 600 years old. And this is Madanga Hill. So on top of this hill is the shots that I was showing you of Achyutaraya temple and Hampi Bazaar and things like that. Madanga Hill, it is Madanga Hill because Madanga Muni used to do tapas here, penance here. And Madanga is because of Madanga's Shava. If you remember Ramayana, Vali couldn't enter Rishyamukha Hill. Rishyamukha Hill we will see later. This Madanga Hill, where Madanga Muni, who cursed Vali that if he enters Rishyamukha, his heads will, he will get killed. And that's how Vali couldn't enter Rishyamukha, and Sugriva and Hanuman used to stay in Rishyamukha. So all those hills are even now there. And Madanga Hill, on top of Madanga Hill, the climb is tough. Climb is moderate to difficult. It is not easy to moderate. It is moderate to difficult, but still it is worth seeing from the top. And there is a temple on top of Madanga Hill from where you will see all these beautiful views. This is that temple, a Shiva temple at the top. This is the temple on top of Madanga Hill. But 360-degree views all around is invaluable. And yeah, these are all some of the views from Madanga Hill. This is a stepwell in the outskirts of Hampi. There are a lot of them. And we have explored a lot of Hampi, but still a lot more remains. So still there are many, many more things that we have not explored yet. What we are doing today is around 60 to 70 monuments out of many more that we could probably cover. This is Malyavanta Hill. Malyavanta Hill is where, Lakshmana and Rama stayed during the hunt for Sita. So they stayed here during monsoon. And there is a cave here where they have stayed. And these temples were built by Vijayanagara times, especially in times of Krishnadevaraya. So we will just see the, this is the cave inside. So it is a fairly large cave where Rama and Lakshmana said to have lived during the time that Vanaras went for hunting Sita. And Malyavanta Hill is another place where you see a mesmerizing sculpturing and carvings and things like that. And it's also a place where you can see sunset and all around view. It is on top of a hill, therefore you can see all around all the hills. I think I need to go a little more faster. Are we ready? Are we okay with the speed, Subhash? Yeah, I see already we are
Yes,
on
yes.
8:45,
Yeah.
so probably we will try to, finish this walkthrough maybe in another 10 minutes. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
5-10 minutes we may have to overhang. I am prepared, so we can
Sure.
see how it goes. So this is the Mahanavami Dibba, or where the king and during those days the Navaratri procession used to happen. And this is what is followed by Mysore Maharajas later as Dasara festival. So it started in Hampi and then was adopted by Mysore kings. So this on top of the mandap, it is still intact. A lot of depiction of those days lifestyle, a lot of camels, Arabs, Portuguese, everybody is there on the wall around Mahanavami Dibba. And this is the fantastic royal enclosure. And all these were the foundations of buildings that once stood, single, double, and triple storied buildings, which used to be the residences for noblemen, the queens and the kings and the emissaries of foreign countries and ambassadors and things like that. All this is available for us to see today, but only thing is that they are all in ruins, unfortunate. And this is Narasimha temple on the banks of river Tungabhadra, by and large intact. This Narasimha temple, and after that, this is Namma Alvar temple near Vittalaraya temple. We will come to this. This again is the Anjanadri on the other side of the river. It is visible from many places in Hampi. You can't escape it. This is Namma Alvar temple. This is an octagonal bath. This used to be a pool for people to relax and take bath. Maybe the sauna and maybe the kind of things that we have equivalent of that on those times. And this is amazing. It is in good shape. This was, excavated sometime after 1900s. And this is Purandara Mandapa. Purandara Das was a contemporary of Krishnadevaraya. Tenali Rama was a contemporary of Purandara Dasa and Krishnadevaraya. And Vyasaraya, another very renowned spiritual leader, he was a guru of Krishnadevaraya during those days. So this is Purandara Mandapa, where his samadhi is supposed to be. And during monsoon, this entire mandap gets submerged. Only during dry time, you can get access to this. This is an old bridge across the river, must be for 500 years old. Today it's in ruins. This is Pushkarani in Pattabhirama temple. Pattabhirama temple in Kamalapur is an amazing work of art, amazing architecture. This is grand and it is magnanimous in terms of scale. And I will just show you some of the photos of this Pattabhirama temple. It is massive. It is in good shape, but there is no idols, no rituals inside because there are no idols. It is all vandalized in 1565. So these are all inside the pragara. This is the first pragara around the Garbhagriha. And these are all, what to say? I mean, it is spectacular. It is absolutely stunning. And this is something that we should never miss if we happen to go to Hampi, Pattabhirama temple. And look at this, these are all, amazing shots, amazing views. This is again coming back to royal enclosure, the water management, a lot of pools, small, large, big, all were connected through aqueducts, channels, waterways, below ground, above ground. Hampi had a fantastic water management system that covered this 40 square kilometer area at one point in time. And, this is amazing. Even today, some of the canals that they built, even today it's in use. For example, Raya Canal, Kurtu Canal, all these are done during Vijayanagara times. Even today, farmers and, we are using it even today, 500 plus 600 years. And this is one of the pools in the royal enclosure. And let me just go through all the royal enclosure. This requires maybe a 3-hour session, but we are trying to pack it up into 1 hour. This is the place where they put water and all the horses drink. This is made of stone. And there are some underground chambers here, secret chambers in the royal enclosures where strategic meets and secret meets used to happen. Those are all in, in good shape. Even today, we can go underground and see through all those places where once they stood. This is the toilet in Harihara Rayas, that is 15th century, 1420, 1450. Those times, they have constructed a toilet. This is the toilet in the palace of Harihara Raya. And this is the toilet seat, and this comes to the tank on the other side of the wall. This was existing in 1400s in India, in our country. Yeah, the toilet system. And all this is available. I'll just let me go through. This is one of the fort wall, doors made of stone. Look at this. If in the hard granite stone, if we have to make this, normal chisels and kind of hammers are not good enough. At least we can fairly say that. And these are one of the aqueducts in the royal enclosure. This is a water channel that you see here. This is a water channel that is carrying water by gravity. And this is a Ranganatha Swami temple. I need to now go through. This is a Sugriva Guha where Sugriva and Rama are said to have been met first. And this is in the middle of Tungabhadra, this cave inside. Inside there are some photos. It is fairly large cave. This is where they supposed to have met Rama and Sugriva. So it is called Sugriva cave. And we could go and see that for ourselves. This is sometime at the end of monsoon, how it looks. And this is Sanapur Lake. Sanapur Lake was a man-made lake during Vijayanagara times, from where the drinking water and many other water requirements of the palaces and forts were catered through gravity. And the Buka aqueduct, which we saw earlier, that was from this dam across river Tungabhadra. Even today, Sanapur Lake is used for irrigation. And, so many of those, this is Shankara Narayana Gate, another gate of the walled city. It is just getting renovated as we see it. This is another very important gate of erstwhile Vijayanagara walled fort. And this is Saraswati temple. You will see an inside view because there are no idols, no rituals. We could get access to the Garbhagriha, and this is how it looks, the top from the Garbhagriha where the idol is placed or must have been placed at one point in time. And this is a Shiva temple at the end of Vittalaraya's eastern side. And this is an amazing temple. And look at the beautification or the carvings on the pillars, and this is massive size. This must be 15 to 18 feet tall. So the ornamentation is really, really worth taking. And this is the Shiva temple. And I think now we need to come to Tungabhadra, river Tungabhadra, that is Anjanadri. A sunset or river Tungabhadra Dam. Yes, it looks like an ocean. It is one of the largest dams in India, constructed in 1953. And this is the underground chamber in royal enclosure. One can go through that. This is an underground Shiva temple, which was unearthed some 40 years ago. For whole temple was under soil. The whole temple was excavated. And this is the steps to go down. So this is under soil, it is called therefore underground Shiva temple. And this is the water channel coming from river Tungabhadra that was also found later. The water comes from Tungabhadra for circulation inside the temple to keep it, cool, and for the temple use of water usage of the temple. In monsoon times, the water comes in large quantity. So once when we had gone, the temple was inundated to some extent, but other times it is also dry. So this is Vittallaraya Bazaar. It is a straight 1 kilometer long Vittallaraya Bazaar where main items of trade was diamond and jewelry. 1 whole kilometer. And the width of the street is around 150 to maybe 150 plus feet. Look at the vision of those leaders though during those times. They had kept the wide street for people to go and operate in the street. This is the Vittalaraya Bazaar. It's a straight street, 1 kilometer long. And at the western end of that street is the Vittalaraya temple. And it has a Pushkarani, a beautiful Pushkarani. Probably I have few shots of that. This is a Varaha Swami temple. Let me also take breath in between. This is the Pushkarani in Vittalaraya Bazaar and Vittalaraya temple. This photo probably all of us have seen. This is the Vittalaraya temple entrance, one of the out of the world temples in Hampi. Vittalaraya temple is spectacular, stunning, astounding, breathtaking, awe-inspiring. You don't have enough vocabulary adjectives to describe Vittalaraya temple. You know, the amount of work that has gone in, amount of sophistication that is inside, and this is where you have all the musical pillars and things like that, unfortunately destroyed to a large extent. And whatever is left, archaeological survey is trying their best to, restore and, to preserve whatever is left. But look at this mandapa. Look at the sheer size of this mandapa and the kind of work that has gone into, ornament this particular place. This was done during the time of Krishnadevaraya. Virupaksha temple is one of the oldest temples where it is continuously functional from 7th century. And the gates were closed. The history goes like this: the gates were closed on this temple when the looters, when the arsonists came from the Muslim sultanates, and they couldn't break this wall. They couldn't get entry into this. And the priests and some of the caretakers, they were inside the temple for 6 months, and they preserved the pujas and the rituals here, and they couldn't get access to this temple. And this temple is absolutely intact as it existed 600 years ago. And this Gopuram tower was built by Krishnadevaraya, and it is one of the tallest temples in the country, 160 feet tall. And this temple is absolutely intact because arsonists couldn't get access to this temple. So you can explore this, keep an hour and a half to 2 hours to explore this particular thing from the architectural and the art point of view. There is also other wonders here I would like you to go and figure out, because it will all take a lot of time if I explain those intricacies of this temple. And this is the length and breadth of this wonderful temple, Virupaksha temple in Hampi. And this water management system, we talked about it earlier. Let me go through that. This is the Hanuman temple, Yantrodharaka Hanuman temple. This is what Vyasaraya re-established. And this is exactly the place where Hanuman met Sri Ram, is what the Ramayana goes. And this is the exact place where Hanuman met Sri Rama. And a lot of relevance, lot of significance to these places. This is Anjanadri, where Hanuman was born. And one can go there with climbing some 600 steps, easy climb, not difficult. And from the top, you have wonderful views of river Tungabhadra. And, this is the shot from the bottom or the foothills of the temple. This is how you climb up. And these wonderful place is an amazing place to see sunset on the western side. And we were fortunate to be there for one of the sunsets in one of our visits. And this is the Tungabhadra, beautiful Tungabhadra. This is the same stone from Rameshwaram. They have brought and kept floating. They have kept it floating in the water in that Anjanadri hill. These are some of the shots from the top. Anjanadri hill is an amazing place to have a 360-degree view of Hampi, Anagondi, and the surrounding areas. This is Vittalaraya temple at the distance. This is Vittalaraya Bazaar, yeah. And on the other side of river Tungabhadra, view from Anjanadri. And from Anjanadri, you can see a lot of places. Virupaksha temple, you can see. Vittalaraya temple, you can see. And this is the wonderful. And this hill is the Rishyamukha, where Sugriva and Hanuman used to stay, fearing Vali's attacks. This is Anagondi temples, where Rama, there is a Shiva temple, there is a Durga temple, where before the war, the forces used to go and pray. This Durga temple itself is like a fort. So this Durga temple is on the other side of Tungabhadra. So one can go and take a look at this. easy climb over the hill. Shiva temples are there, Rama temples are there. And this is the place where my arrow is, my cursor is. This is the place from where Rama is said to have, shot the arrow that killed Vali. And there is a Vali Parvat in the river Tungabhadra where Vali is supposed to have fallen. And he couldn't be moved, so he was cremated at the same place where he fell. He was so big. So this place, there is a Ramapada, and it is marked, and archaeological survey marks it as a place where Rama shot the arrow to kill Vali. And this is Shiva temple that I was talking about. And on this side of the thing, we have a small palace, and this is one of the very, very important place that to pay our gratitude to one of the foremost kings of Bharat, India, at some point in time, who revived the culture, the heritage of this country, Krishnadevaraya. This is his samadhi. And this is on the Anagundi side. And this gets submerged during monsoon. And Krishnadevaraya Samadhi Mandap. It is in the river. From the Anagundi side, during dry season, we can have access easily. During monsoons, we can't venture there. You can see this is from the shores, view of the Krishnadevaraya Samadhi. This is the Samadhi. And during dry times, you can gain access. During monsoons, no, because it will be submerged by waters. This is the Pampa Saras, where Shabari used to live. And Shabari Ashram is there, the cave where Shabari used to live during those times. That place is there. We will see some shots of that. The Pampa Sarovar is still very well maintained. These are the temples which is dedicated to Shabari, and Rama temple is there. And this is the place where Shabari met Rama. And the Shabari Padam is there, Rama Padam is there. And, this is the exact place where they shot the arrow. And this is the cave where Sugriva ran back after the first attempt, and he was given a garland, and then he went back. So this cave is commemorated as the place where Rama gave him the garland to wear. And then this is the Pada, Rama Pada, where the arrow is said to have been shot. So anyway, I am talking about Ramayana connection just for the people who can probably develop some interest there. I mean, even without that, Hampi is prominent by itself. Whether Kishkinda was there, Ramayana is there, is something that we can leave to our own judgment. But this is the Vali Parvat that I was talking about. This whole thing is called Vali Parvat, supposed to be the cremation ground of Vali. And this is a Ranganatha temple on the other side, on the Anagundi side. And this is the place where Shabari lived. This is the Shabari cave on Pamba Tirtha. And this is the place where he is supposed to have lived. And now, having said all this, I have one slide where you can see a 4 days suggested itinerary. This is keeping the geography, keeping the distances, keeping the overall most important parts, not to miss kind of parts in Hampi. And this is available also in my website, touringwithpk.com. Any of Hampi postings, there are around 60 plus postings on Hampi, different places. Any of the Hampi postings, if you search and go in touringwithpk.com, you will get this itinerary. So those who want, you can take a screenshot, but otherwise it is easily available in the website. So day 1, you can cover this. Day 2, you can cover this. Day 3, you can cover this. And day 4, you can cover that. By this, you may be able to see Hampi to some extent. But I would suggest you go a few times to Hampi. One thing about Hampi is that I can guarantee you it will not stop you with one visit. So be prepared to go a few times if you decide to go once. That's about Hampi, yeah. And let's keep it open for some question answers or something. And there are few trivias. Maybe if we have 1 minute towards the end, I can share some of the trivias on Hampi. Yeah, the floor is open, Subash.
Any question? Quick question. Thanks, PK. That's fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is Satyajit Samant, PK. Hello.
Yeah, Satyajit.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yeah.
Audible? Yeah. My question is, I mean, it would have taken long years to create this, and there would have been a lot of, there would have been a very big long-term goal with a stability in a mind, to create such structures, right? And it would have sustained for, I don't know, maybe some years, and then it would have got destroyed, except that temple. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, as a being coaches, so, I would like to have some learnings from this. One is that temple being so strong that it did not get destroyed, even with Muslim things trying to destroy that, and they sustained. And that means so strong structure. I mean that the construction would have been for this, whereas all other things were destroyed. Correct. So, I mean, just asking this question in terms of the long-term goal of setting such a big, thing, and how do you sustain such structures? So, what are the learnings from this? Mental learnings. I'm just trying to understand.
So I would encourage you to, this is a quick question, but requires a lot of a long answer, because a city like this or a empire like this, which was a whole of South and East, cannot fall just like that. So there must have been, termite kind of things happening within the country. There must be external forces ganging up and, attacking as an, allied force. All those have happened. So Talikota War is much researched, and what was the reasons leading to the fall of Hampi. But the point, quick response to this is that the walled city was walled, but it still required people to take care. So any system, the learning is that any system is only as good as the people taking care of it. Any system is only as good as the people taking care of it. So you may have a great system established in the city, in the defensive and other things, all that. But if you don't have competent, capable people taking care of it, it loses its defense, or it loses its significance, relevance. So, basically, to give the adequate credit where it belongs, 230 years in history, in the midst of Muslim invasions of Khilji and Tughlaqs and all the northern forces and Persian forces, was not an easy thing. 230 years was not a short time, and followed by Marathas, Shivaji later on. So these 230 years were golden time in the South Indian history, and 230 years it withstood itself is a big thing in those times, which had lesser democratic and other non-bloodshed power transfer kind of era. So, the reasons mainly is that flawed strategies and the treason or treachery by two commanders within the forces. Two out of the so many commanders revolted against their own forces. They started killing their own forces because those commanders of a particular religion. So Talikota War, there is enough material available in the websites and studies are available. I would encourage, if this particular conversation today led anyone to examine that, explore that a lot, we would have a lot of lessons, even from reading through and going through those.
Thanks.
And Subhash, with your permission, can we go up to just to establish certainty, because there are 37 people, can we get a certain or kind of a closure, maybe 9:15, 9:20, whatever it is that you feel like, so that people have certainty that at what time this is going to end, probably. Yeah, is that okay? 9:20 is fine, or 9:15 is fine? What?
Let us start at 9:15, PK.
9:15, okay.
Yes, 5 minutes.
So any other
PK,
observations?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, Milind here.
Yeah, Milind.
So, Hampi is very close to my heart. So, been as I already wrote, I think this is the second time I'm reading the Forgotten Empire by Robert Swell.
Fantastic.
So, because the war happened at Talikota, which is close to 200 kilometers from Hampi.
Yeah.
And the Deccan, all these guys, they came to Hampi to destroy it? What is the logic? Usually,
Okay.
where the
Yeah.
war happens, they usually the surrounding area they destroy.
Yeah.
And the connecting question is, I also read somewhere that they didn't find anything in Hampi. The theory that all the wealth was moved to Tirupati. Because of that
Absolutely.
frustration, they destroyed the city. Is it
Possible.
true?
Possible, the reason that you are attributing. But the point is that two commanders revolted and they started killing their own soldiers, and this created enough chaos and confusion for them to
The
retreat.
Gilani brothers.
Yeah, people were running for their lives. And Ali Ramaraya, who was the king at that point in time, his head was severed by one of these four sultans who came allied. You know, the four sultans of Ahmednagar, Golconda, Bidar, and one more. So these
Bijapur.
Bijapur, yeah, these four sultanates, one of those sultans was an adopted son of Vijayanagara king. That was a strategic thing that Vijayanagara kings used to do at that point in time to keep the truce between kings and between kingdoms. But Ali Ramaraya came, and there was a lot of pent jealousy or a pent hatred among the Muslim forces to finish Hampi, even from that point of view, because there was some 60-70 years of humiliation in the hands of Hampi kings, that was pent up. That is one side or one story. Another story is that when Ali Ramaraja's head was severed and they were marching with that severed head into Hampi, that was very demoralizing for the forces, whoever is left. And Tirumala, who was young at that time and who was advised to abandon the city and move away to Penukonda and to Chandragiri and Tirupati. So the point is that at that point in time, people were abandoning the city and running away with whatever wealth that they could, salvage. And the rest were under treasure troves, which were probably nobody has unearthed even till now. Is one side of the story. It's all stories. Now, the people who had come to Hampi, they had just the hatred. 180 kilometers, they would have taken weeks and months to come. And then they started plundering, and they couldn't just digest the scale and the fame of Hampi. Is the most accepted story that because of the pent jealousy and pent up hatred, they just destroyed without having any other intent in mind. And of course, these temples and other things were definitely sitting ducks in the front of people who believe strong on religion. So they had to destroy it. So and there were nobody to protect it. Nobody left in Hampi. Everybody left Hampi by the time the forces came, because there were nobody to defend or to even today, Hampi is an abandoned place. Nobody lives in Hampi. People live 4-5 kilometers away from Hampi, and that abandonment even today continues. That is the most accepted story. We don't know what exactly happened. And then everybody who told history later had their own vested interests and biases. So sultanates who wrote the Hampi story had their own bias in their history telling. Europeans had their own. So we won't know, and none of people from whoever left over mind to really took care to probably tell the story. And whatever stories that came through from Penukonda, that was the second stronghold of Vijayanagara kings, is that the wealth was removed. You are right, they didn't get much, and that is what led to the fall of those sultanates also within 10-15 years afterwards. If they had got wealth, they would have sustained longer. So to give credit to the Vijayanagara kings, 230 years was never a short time in history, not a short time. And we have to think that even Britishers ruled India only much less than that.
Thank you, Vicky. I'll connect with you separately.
Sure,
with,
sure.
I share the same interest.
Sure, Milind. Yeah. I think it is 9:15. Do we have 1 minute for some trivias?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Some of the trivias of Hampi is that it is chronicled by Europeans that during those times, Krishnadevaraya's time, there were merchant guilds similar to today's Chamber of Commerce. These merchant guilds negotiated with the kings what they want and things like that. It's surprising that they had Chamber of Commerce during those days. And Virupaksha is an uninterrupted that we discussed already. And Kumara Kampanna and Maharani Ganga Devi during 14th century, when they came to Madurai for conquering, and that time the queen was the head of women's force. This is very well documented in Madura Charita. So even women were fighting those days. So if we think today Air Force or Navy or Army has women wings, it is not something that we are doing new. In 14th century, we had fighting women, and they were a force to reckon in wars. And infrastructure construction projects like roads and bridges and things like that were given on contract to private parties. They had license to operate for a few years. So if we think that build, operate, transfer, and BOTT projects were all, 20th century innovation and things like that, we are misinformed. During 14th, 15th century, Vijayanagara kings used to give licenses for private parties to construct infrastructure projects. And there was a visa on arrival in Goa port, Karwar port, Bhatkal port. The people arriving from foreign countries, they used to stay there, get the visa from Vijayanagara. So they had to stay there for 3-4 weeks to gain entry into the kingdom. And, so this is another very important aspect. And even now excavations are happening. This is another trivia. So underground Shiva temple, Pushkarani near eating place, Krishna Bazaar, these are all unearthed, recently. And water management system of Hampi is world renowned. And the way we had managed water during those days for drinking and other purposes is an eye-opener if we have to go there and see it. Yeah, that's it, Subhash. So
Thank you very much, PK. Is touringwithpk.com the website to go and learn more?
yes, touringwithpk.com. Just type touring, TOURING with pk.com. You will see tags. There are many tags like temples, Hoysalas, Cholas, Pandyas. There are also regions like Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and overseas also a few places where we have done road trips in Australia, New Zealand, US, and all that. So all road trips, all these places profiled in Touring with PK is all road trips. And they are all done by us, and all the photos which are there in the website, more than 6,000 pictures with 6,000 images, all clicked by me. There are no images that are other than what I have taken. And this is all sized small so that it loads faster and easy to download. If any of you require a high resolution picture of the same, please write to me. I don't claim any ownership or copyright on these pictures. I'm just sharing it. So if you need, for any reason, a high resolution picture of any of the pictures that are available in the website, just write to me. I can send you the high resolution pictures. So touringwithpk.com has 600, close to 550 plus places. Go and explore, out of which 60 is Hampi. But there are many, many more treasure troves there, which are unknown, like Itagi, Badami, Aihole, Patadekal, and the Banavasi and the Belagavi and Amritapura and Nadehalli, and a lot of Hoysala temples, some 50-60 Hoysala temples are profiled there, Hosavalalu, and so many places. And then of course the Tamil Nadu temples, not to speak about, and of course Kerala temples as well. Maharashtra, a few cave temples which are 1,500 years old. So it is a treasure trove. So I would like you to go and explore yourself using the tags. There are tags which you can use to go to your matter of interest.
Thank you, PK. Thank you. I think you might not have had a chance to look at the comments, but a lot of thank you messages on the chat box.
Okay,
I'm sure there's also already a request to do some workshop in Hampi.
Oh,
not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea.
We'll do some school-like excursion to Hampi maybe. Sometime.
Yeah, if we can, we can plan that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for staying on and being part of it. The journey continues. Thank you.
Thank you, Subhash, for organizing this and
Thank
being
you.
part of this MuseArt. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, PK.
Mind blowing. Thank you. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, PK. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, PK.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.